Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the Weekend Review. Controversial Mahikeng businessman Brown Mogotsi is back in the spotlight after reports of an attempt on his life in Vosloorus on Monday night. This led to the Madlanga Commission offering him protection as he's yet to appear before the commission. Meanwhile, police have since executed a long-pending search and seizure warrant, confiscating several digital devices linked to the ongoing investigations into his alleged involvement in illegal activities. Mogotsi previously named in testimonies before the Madlanga Commission, and Parliament's ad hoc committee claims the shooting was real, while witnesses told a different story. The SAPS confirmed forensic teams are now analysing the seized materials for links to the underworld networks and obstruction of justice. For more on this, we joined by SABC News reporter Thabiso, who has been tracking the story in Mogotsi's hometown of Mahikeng in the northwest province. Thabiso, very good afternoon to you. The name of Brown Mogotsi, at some point during the course of this week, many were asking, where is Brown Mogotsi? Well, he was expected to appear at a certain police station and there were no sightings of him. Has there been any sightings of Mogotsi lately?
Good afternoon to you, Paul, and our viewers at home. Not yet. We haven't seen Brown Mogotsi in public. I think since the second exclusive interview that he conducted, or we conducted with him, which was last month, when he was responding to what at the time former Secretary General of the ANC, Mahikeng, said about the status of his membership. You'll remember that amongst other things that he told us at the time during that exclusive interview, he also indicated that he's willing to appear or ready to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to give his side of the story, and also, emphasizing the point that, or responding to that statement that was uttered by ANC Secretary General Mahikeng about Brown Mogotsi not being a member of the ANC, but telling us that he's a member of the ANC. His membership is still active. At the time, he said his membership will expire only in the end of last month, which is October. So that's the last time when we saw Brown Mogotsi in public, when we were doing that second interview, exclusive interview with him that we conducted here at our SABC offices in Mahikeng.
As we, get a sense of what residents in the Northwest are saying, what are some of those remarks making wind? What are people saying? Is there support for the man? Of course, we understand he's a big community member there with all the businesses that he runs. But, because community members in Vosloorus tell a different story, what's being reflected in the Northwest?
We covered extensively, the issue, the raid that was conducted or executed by the police here in Mahikeng at one of his properties. That's when we managed to speak to some of the residents at the time that the raid happened. I think it was around last month, even though when we arrived on the scene, it was one of his properties, we found that the police were conducting that raid were gone, but there were some local police officers who were, gathering there outside Brown Mogotsi, one of Brown Mogotsi's properties, which is a business complex, by the way. We understand that he's renting out this, business premise to some business people who are operating their businesses from this place. But also what we know when we were doing that, when we were covering that raid, we understand that he's running two, in the same place, he's running two businesses there. It's a Chisanyama, that's what we understand, and also a liquor outlet in the same building or premise that some of the office space there is renting out to some of the people who are running businesses. So we managed to speak to the people at the time. Many of them were in support of him, were supporting Brown Mogotsi. I remember vividly one of them describing him as a very generous person who's always willing to assist the community. So from the interviews that we did at the time, you could sense that the Brown Mogotsi is enjoying support from some of the community members where he stays here in Mahikeng.
We know that police have been trying to locate him since October following that raid at his business premises. And as you talk about perception and how he's seen by members of his community, how have the public statements shaped his public perception of the alleged attempt on his life? in the Northwest?
One could only, also monitor just social media pages in terms of people who are residing in the province. Some of them who know Brown Mogotsi, especially after that incident. Some of them were saying he needs to be protected. He still has to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to give his side of the story. Some were skeptical about, that attempted hit on his life that happened there in Gauteng in Vosloorus. So there were mixed feelings or reactions with regard to that, the alleged shooting that happened. That there were some people who shot at the car that he was traveling in at the time. So there is mixed reaction. Some are saying that he needs to be, protected to make sure that he's safe, which is one of the issues that also was, the spokesperson for the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry also saying that they have been in contact with Brown Mogotsi because they were concerned about his safety. You'll remember that even during our first exclusive interview that we conducted, I think it was 5 days after that explosive media briefing addressed by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nkantam Kwadazi. Also, Brown Mogotsi told us that there were people who were following him. So he was concerned about his safety. So with regard to the incident that happened this week in Vosloorus, there are mixed feelings or reactions with regard to what really happened there, even though we saw that the following day police confirming that they have managed to get hold of Brown Mogotsi. They met him, I think, if I remember, at his lawyer's offices somewhere there in Johannesburg, where he gave them the statement about the sequence of events with regard to that incident that happened in Vosloorus.
And still staying on that, with him having agreed to provide police with that statement and ironing out those details, have you spoken to residents about that alleged attack? Because the residents in Gauteng and Vosloorus, there have been allegations that he may have shot at his own car. Of course, that is yet to be proven, but that's just perhaps word on the street insofar as what may have transpired as officers, examine that bullet-riddled vehicle of his.
We haven't managed to speak to some of the residents here in Mahikeng with regard to that particular incident that happened in Vosloorus earlier this week. We haven't managed to gauge sentiment of the people with regard to what is their thinking following that particular incident, except that we saw some of them, like I indicated earlier, that we saw some of them who were reacting to that incident on social media. They were expressing mixed feelings with regard to this incident. Like I said, that some of them were saying he needs to be protected because he has to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to respond to some of the allegations that are leveled against him, that he's associated with some, high-ranking police officers, and he is possessing confidential information of police. So that's where we have managed to gather or to gauge some sentiments with regard to the posts that were there on social media platforms from some of the residents here in the Northwest.
And perhaps you made mention of this at the start of our conversation, question marks over his ANC membership following your exclusive interview. Do you perhaps know what's happened since then?
You'll remember, Mpo, that even the secretary of the ANC, provincial secretary of ANC here in Northwest, Louis Di Rumelo, emphasized that. I think it was during his interview with our colleague Samkele Maseko. I think it was at ANC NEC meeting somewhere there in Gauteng, where he emphasized that Brown Mogotsi is not a member of the ANC. Emphasizing the statement that was uttered by ANC Secretary General Fikile Balula. So that's where the matter is at this point in time. ANC Secretary in the province at the time confirmed that Brown Mogotsi is not a member of the ANC. And we understand from the previous conversations that were there that he was involved in some ANC campaign during when the ANC was preparing for 2017 national conference, that he was one of the chief lobbyists here in the province at the time. But now we understand that we are told that he's not a member of the ANC, and there is not much information with regard to what really happened. Is the issue that he didn't renew his membership or what, but the ANC secretary in the province has confirmed that indeed Brown Mogotsi is not a member of the ANC, even though he has flatly disputed that, saying that he's a member of the ANC.
Very well. Thank you so much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Piecing the dots and connecting the story, SABC News reporter Thabiso giving us a sense of what is being said about controversial businessman Brown Mogotsi, who we know has been located and met with police together with attorneys this week, as questions remain on that bullet-riddled vehicle that was found in Vosloorus by police. A story